It's Thursday, November 21st, and thanks for tuning in to the Day Weather Podcast. Well, we have a winter storm that's still spinning around the Four Corners area this morning. Now, for most of Wyoming, we're looking at the snow being done. The exception is going to be extreme southern Wyoming along and south of I-80. The storm that's over the Four Corners area is going to wobble just enough to the north that later today and overnight tonight and Friday morning, that along I-80 from Cheyenne to near Evanston and along and south of that I-80 corridor, a little more light snow and flurry activity will fall. Elsewhere across Wyoming, it's just going to be cold, with fog being the biggest concern. We still have a lot of road closures on this early Thursday in many areas of Wyoming, and it's going to be slow going. Although the weather's improving, it's going to stay cold. There'll still be some gusty northeast winds along I-80 in sections, so roads are going to slow to open, and the roads that are open are very icy. Now in Colorado, we're going to look at that low that's near the Four Corners. It's kind of slowly, lazily drifting slowly east. Now, it's not a terribly well-built storm, but it's going to be slow-moving enough, and there's going to be enough cold air and upslope that we'll continue to see snow falling in the high country of Colorado, northwest Colorado around Steamboat, over to Craig, down into Montrose and Grand Junction. Rain and snow showers will be around. As you get up higher, it'll be all snow. This will be a good snow event for the high country of Colorado and the ski areas again today. And we'll see snow spread out onto the plains of eastern Colorado. Places like Lamar, La Junta, Burlington could see snow, freezing drizzle, and fog. No one's going to get a lot. The Front Range of Colorado, heads up, while there isn't any big snow coming later today and tonight, I wouldn't be surprised if we get just enough snow around the Denver, Colorado Springs, Loveland, Fort Collins area to make it really icy again this evening, overnight tonight, and for your commute tomorrow morning. We'll then see a break developing in the weather during the day Friday that will last through Saturday. Dry conditions will return. However, a strong cold front is going to come out of northwest Canada and into the northern and central Rockies, hitting Montana Sunday, moving into Wyoming Sunday night, and into Colorado by Monday. And Monday and Tuesday, areas of light to moderate snow with this front will be found along and east of the divide, and it will be a good shot of snow again for the mountains of Wyoming and Colorado and the Utah, Idaho mountains as well. We continue to see a very active pattern for Thanksgiving week, with that system arriving Monday and Tuesday, and then another system towards either around or just after Thanksgiving. We still have a lot of disagreement on our computer modeling with next week's forecast and the week after that. One thing is for certain, there are storms that are going to be moving across the country Thanksgiving week and the weekend after Thanksgiving, but the timing and placement is still very much fuzzy. So we kind of need another day or two to get a better focus, a better idea of where the troughs and the jet stream is going to be wanting to meander across the lower 48 states next week and into that first week of December. Another new wrinkle that's showing up is that we're seeing what is called a possible stratospheric warming event taking place in early to mid-December. Now, you might be asking, what in the heck is a stratospheric warming event? Stratospheric warming events play a large role in what you probably are more familiar with, which is the so-called daunted polar vortex you hear about on the news sometimes during the course of the winter season. First of all, stratospheric warming has nothing to do with carbon dioxide or greenhouse gases or climate change. What happens, and this is especially true during low solar years, we've talked about the fact the solar activity is at a minimum. We have very few sunspots. We have seen years past when we have solar minimums that these stratospheric warming events take place. Now, why is this important, and how is it connected to the polar vortex? Think of the stratosphere. We're talking about 55,000 to 140,000 feet or so, very up high. Think of it as an accordion. As the stratosphere expands due to it getting warmer, warmer air takes up more volume, more space. So if the stratosphere warms up a little bit over the higher latitudes, or basically over the Arctic, like an accordion, the atmosphere expands. Now, it can't expand in the space, so what it does is it pushes down. And when it pushes down, it takes the cold air over the North Pole and the Arctic and pushes it south. And stratospheric warming events are a key part in what is called that polar vortex, to where you get these big masses of cold air that come off the North Pole off the Arctic Circle and into the lower latitudes of North America. Now, sometimes these intrusions of Arctic air, these polar vortexes, end up on the other side of the globe. They end up in Siberia or they end up in Europe. But right now, we're seeing the potential for one of these events to take place in December. So this lines up again with what we've been talking about in this podcast for the last couple of weeks, that the rest of November and December is looking like, more often than not, it could be cold and very wintry across a good part of the USA. And now that we're adding this potential stratospheric warming event into the equation, really gives us more confidence that that's going to happen. We'll keep you updated on this, but just wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up that in the coming 5 or 6 or 7 weeks or so, there's going to be a lot of winter weather across the United States. And if you go back and look at similar stratospheric warming events in early December, this is kind of early to see these, honestly, but we have seen these in other winters that were very harsh in the western United States. The winter of 1976 and the winter of 1983, those two winters saw a similar situation in early December. Something to think about. Thanks for listening to the Day Weather Podcast. Talk to you tomorrow.